What do you think
Picture
you're
this
doing?
one
You need
bad
to hand that
assumption,
over right now.
one sloppy
I
decision,
haven't done
and a
anything
whole
wrong.
career goes up like a
This is
shorted
mine.
circuit. That's what happens when a cop arrests a black teen in a pharmacy without realizing she's his boss's daughter. The night started like any other routine call in a Chicago neighborhood where Officer Thompson liked to patrol bright fluorescent lights, a steady hum of refrigerators, customers drifting through aisles half asleep, and the faint antiseptic smell that clings to every pharmacy no matter how clean it looks. Kesha Williams, 17, had walked in with a simple mission grab, ibuprofen, for her grandmother's arthritis flare-up and get home before it got too late. She wasn't loitering, wasn't causing drama, wasn't even on her phone. She was doing what engineers do when a system matters. Reading labels, carefully checking active ingredients, comparing dosages, making sure she didn't buy something that would clash with her grandma's other meds. But in Thompson's head, that quiet focus didn't register as responsibility. On his internal dashboard, he tagged it as suspicious. And like a guy who trusts a faulty sensor more than reality, he escalated fast. "Hey," he barked, stepping into her personal space, hand already hovering near his cuffs. "What are you doing?" Kesha looked up, surprised that a grown man with a badge was treating her like a threat for reading medicine. "Buying painkillers for my grandmother," she said, calm. Steady, no attitude. That should have been the end. But Thompson had a pattern. He liked easy targets, liked situations where he could flex authority with low risk of pushback, and he was too used to people freezing when he raised his voice. "Don't get smart with me," he snapped, grabbing her arm. Kesha instinctively pulled back. "Get your hands off my arm," she shot back. Not loud yet, but firm. In a split second, Thompson decided this wasn't a conversation anymore. It was a power test. He shoved her into a shelf of cough syrup like he was pinning down a suspect, not a teenager in a pharmacy. Kesha's wrist burned. Her eyes flashed, not with fear, but with that controlled heat of someone who understands the rules better than the guy breaking them. "Officer Thompson," she said evenly, "are you sure you want to keep going?" He laughed in her face, that cruel, casual laugh of someone convinced the rails will always carry him forward. "Threatening an officer now. That's another charge, princess." The pharmacist tried to step in, voice shaking. "Officer, she was only buying over-the-counter meds." "There's nothing illegal here," Thompson snapped at him like a man swatting a fly. "Mind your business and get back to work." Then he hauled Kesha toward the door, and that's when the real mistake locked in. Because Kesha didn't cry, didn't plead, didn't do what he expected a powerless teen to do. She watched him like a technician watching a machine fail in predictable stages, cataloging every violation, every unnecessary escalation, every time he ignored protocol. Under her breath, just loud enough for him to hear, she said, "My father always taught me there are two kinds of cops, the ones who protect and serve, and the ones who abuse a badge to cover their insecurities." Thompson spun on her, ego flaring. "Your father? Let me guess, another criminal you're trying to protect." That line felt good coming out of his mouth, right up until it became the first nail in the coffin he didn't know he'd bill. His patrol car cut through traffic with sirens on full blast, not because there was any urgency, but because he liked the theater of it. In the back seat, Kesha sat straight silent, eyes fixed on the city sliding by through the metal partition. Thompson kept running his mouth like a man talking over a warning alarm. "I bet your daddy's proud." He sneered into the rear view. Kesha didn't react, but inside she was already running the logic tree. She knew this station. She'd grown up in it, wandering hallways behind her dad on weekends, hearing officers talk shop, learning the difference between real policing and bullying dressed up as law. And she knew something else. The people who abuse systems always think the system belongs to them. The smartest move is letting them prove it on record. The 15th precinct was buzzing when they arrived. Phones ringing, printers spitting paperwork, officers moving from desk to desk with coffee in hand. The normal clutter of an overworked district. Thompson marched Kesha down the main hall like a trophy, head high, basking in his own narrative. "Nice catch," another officer called out. "Another one for the stats." Thompson grinned. Kesha's face didn't change, but she noticed something Thompson didn't. A couple heads lifting a little too sharply, a couple eyes narrowing with recognition. Officer Martinez looked up from her desk and frowned. "Thompson, why are you processing a suspected trafficker?" He cut her off, shoving Kesha forward. Martinez stared after them, unsettled. Something about that girl felt familiar. In processing, Thompson slammed down a form like he was building a case out of thin air. Full name, Kesha Williams, she said calmly. He paused a fraction. Williams was common. Nothing clicked yet. Address. She gave a fake one across town. Buying time the way you buy time in a failing system before you flip the breaker. Thompson scribbled smug. Parents' occupation. Kesha took a breath. My mother works in the judicial system. My father also works in criminal justice. Thompson snorted. Public defender, social worker, people who protect crooks like you. Kesha smiled small, controlled, the kind of smile that says you just made your problem 10 times worse without realizing it. Something like that. While Thompson dug deeper into paperwork he had no real evidence to support, a subtle shift happened behind him. Martinez had quietly pinged a few senior officers. A small cluster formed at the doorway, watching with a growing sense of, oh no. Officer Henderson, a veteran who'd trained half the district, stepped in slowly. The room went silent in that specific way where professionals realize someone just said something dumb enough to get everybody dragged into it. Then Sergeant Rodriguez walked in with a stack of reports and coffee, took one look at Kesha, and his face changed like he'd just seen a live wire exposed. Thompson, he said, voice low and urgent. I need you in the hallway. Now Thompson waved him off. I'm almost done. Rodriguez didn't budge. Now in the hall, Rodriguez grabbed Thompson's elbow hard. Do you have any idea who that girl is? Thompson rolled his eyes. A criminal trying to play the victim. Rodriguez shut his eyes like he was counting to 10 to keep from detonating. Release her immediately and pray she doesn't sue you. Thompson's pride kicked back. Are you crazy? I did my job. Rodriguez leaned in, voice an emergency override. You didn't do a job, you did a liability. That girl is Kesha Williams. So? He snapped. Rodriguez stared at him, Captain Williams' daughter. The hallway felt like a vacuum after that. Thompson's mouth opened, but no sound came out. His brain stalled like an engine flooded with bad fuel. Captain Michael Williams wasn't just a supervisor. He was District 15's commanding officer. The man who signed evaluations, promotions, discipline. The man whose name carried weight across the city. Thompson's knees went weak. What? Albakini, he croaked. Yes. That Kesha. The one who grew up in this precinct. The one everybody here knows. Thompson stumbled backward like he could reverse time. But Kesha had already taken the next step. When Thompson returned to processing, cheeks red and eyes panicked, he shoved a phone at her. You get one call. He expected a lawyer, a parent, someone to bail her out quietly. Kesha dialed a number he didn't even recognize and put it on speaker. Internal Affairs, Detective Morrison. Thompson frowned. Detective Morrison, my name is Kesha Williams. I'd like to report a serious breach of protocol involving arrest without probable cause and officer misconduct. Officer Thompson arrested me for reading medication labels. No evidence, no controlled substances, no probable cause. He used excessive force. He also made racially biased comments about my family. Thompson reached for the phone. Kesha shifted it away smoothly. Detective, he's attempting to interfere with my call. Please add that. On speaker, Morrison's voice got ice cold. Miss Williams, stay on the line. I'm sending someone down now. And Thompson, if you're hearing this, stop everything. Right now. Thompson's face drained. Teenagers don't call internal affairs like that. Teenagers don't speak in clean legal language under pressure unless they've been trained. He finally understood he'd arrested the wrong person, but still didn't grasp how deep the hole was. Kesha clicked her own recording on her phone and looked at him like she was conducting a design review. Officer Thompson, why did you arrest me? Thompson stumbled. You were suspicious. You were reading meds too long. How long? She asked. I didn't time it. Did you observe any illegal substance on me? No. Did I threaten anyone? Steal anything? Run? No, but your attitude. What attitude? I walked in, went to the aisle, checked labels, paid at the counter. Her questions came fast and precise, each one forcing him to admit the absence of cause. It was like watching a faulty model collapse under real-world constraints. Officers were now fully gathered in the doorway. Henderson's eyes were wide. That's documented racial bias on the speaker. Morrison exploded. He said, what, Thompson? You're suspended effective immediately. Do not say another word to her. Do not touch her. Do nothing. Thompson froze, realizing the system he'd abused was now snapping shut around him. And then, like the final breaker flipping, Captain Michael Williams stepped into the room. Crisp uniform, calm face, fury beneath it like pressure behind a sealed valve. The room went dead quiet. Kesha looked up, still cuffed. "Daddy," she said evenly. "Glad you're here." Officer Thompson was explaining racially biased arrest procedure to me. The word daddy hit Thompson like a straight-up collision. His knees actually buckled. "Captain, I didn't know," he stammered. The captain's voice was controlled, lethal in its calm. "Clearly, Detective Morrison informed me you arrested my daughter for buying ibuprofen." Kesha tapped her phone and played the recording. Thompson's own voice filled the room. "Little girl drug dealer. Family business." Captain Williams shut his eyes, breathed once, opened them with a look that promised consequences nobody in that building could ignore. 23 years building trust in this community," he said quietly, "and you shredded it in 15 minutes. Kesha stood as Rodriguez removed her cuffs. The red marks on her wrists looked like the receipt of his stupidity. She faced Thompson, not angry, not triumphant, just factual. "This isn't revenge.
This is justice.
You had every chance to stop, every chance to verify, every chance to treat me like a human. And you chose escalation." Henderson stepped forward. "Badge. Weapon. Now." Thompson's hands shook as he unpinned his badge. The metal weighed like regret. He handed it over, eyes glassy. "My career ended the moment you decided my daughter was guilty of being young and black in a pharmacy," Captain Williams said flatly. Thompson was walked out 20 minutes later carrying a cardboard box of his things, his uniform stripped, his reputation already igniting online because half the store had recorded the arrest. By the time he hit the parking lot, Internal Affairs had opened investigations into his previous arrests. Families he'd bullied came forward. Patterns surfaced. Lawsuits followed. 6 months later, Kesha walked those same halls again, but this time on a reform internship, helping redesign training, bias protocols, and arrest procedures that had let men like Thompson operate unchecked. Thompson, meanwhile, sat in a cell after a civil rights conviction, living with the full cost of one arrogant assumption. He'd thought he was arresting a powerless teen. Instead, he triggered a chain reaction that exposed his entire pattern and pushed the department into reforms that would protect kids like her long after her name stopped trending. That's the engineering lesson hiding in the drama. Systems fail most catastrophically when the people inside them assume they're above constraints. Thompson ignored feedback, overtrusted his bias sensor, escalated without verification, and the failure mode wasn't just personal, it was public, permanent, and self-inflicted. So tell me this, how many Officer Thompsons are out there right now waiting to make the same mistake because they still think power means immunity? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more stories where truth doesn't just survive a broken system, but rewires it, hit subscribe.